Cam Newton has been amazing with the New England Patriots. When Cam Newton did sign with the New England Patriots in the summer of 2020, I was pretty interested as a Patriots fan, and it was really cool to see a dual threat QB take over their offense rather than just a pure pocket passer. That's not Brady's slander, since I like Tom Brady a lot, but it was very cool to see someone like Cam Newton take over this offense. Plus, who knows? I was kind of interested to see what they could do after Tom Brady left. So with all that being said, you guys read the title, why Cam Newton has been terrific for the New England Patriots and why he can win comeback player of the year. Doesn't exactly say that, but you got it's. I guess it's along those lines. Before we do get started though, make sure you like the video if you guys did enjoy it. It really helps out the channel, and it doesn't take that long unless something happens, but it shouldn't take that long. And also, a good percentage of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you guys like my content and you guys watch it consistently, subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss any new content. And I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers, and it would be very much appreciated. And also, make sure you comment down below your video ideas if you have any. And with all that being said, let's get started. Newton was born in Atlanta, Georgia to Jackie and Cecil Newton. He would play baseball and basketball a lot as a kid. However, he developed a fear of getting hit by a pitch in baseball, and he got into foul trouble a lot in his days as a hooper. Yeah, I usually don't use the word hooper, but anyways, he'd eventually quit baseball and basketball eventually, and he'd attend Westlake High School, and he would play football there. In his junior year, he'd even pass for more than 2,000 yards and 23 touchdowns, and would run for more than 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. He was ranked as a 4-star prospect and even a 5-star prospect in one case, and he'd receive offers to schools like Florida, Georgia, Maryland, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Virginia Tech. He'd eventually commit to Florida. However, in his third year at Florida, he'd be charged with many felonies like burglary, larceny, yeah, I can't say that word anyways, obstruction of justice, and he'd also face things like 3 instances of academic dishonesty prior to transferring there. So he'd eventually have to transfer to Blinn College in Texas, and he'd perform very well there, passing for more than 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns, and he'd run for more than 600 yards too. Eventually, he'd transfer to Auburn for his final season in college, and he would have a very good season there, and it would be a very iconic season by Cam Newton at Auburn, as he would throw for more than 2,000 yards, 30 touchdowns on 66% passing, and would run for more than 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. He'd lead them to a BCS championship win and won numerous awards like the Heisman Trophy, Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, Davey O'Brien Award, Manning Award, and AP College Football Player of the Year, plus consensus First-Team All-American and First-Team All-Southeastern Conference. He declared for the draft and was selected by the Carolina Panthers #1 overall. His 2011 season would be very good, as he would make the Pro Bowl as a rookie, throwing for more than 4,000 yards, 21 passing touchdowns on 60% passing, and he'd run for more than 700 yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. In 2013, the Panthers would go 12-4, as he would lead them to the playoffs for the first time, and he'd throw for more than 3,000 yards, 24 passing touchdowns on 62% passing, and he'd run for 585 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. The 2014-15 season, nothing much happened, as they would unfortunately regress. However, the 2015 season proved to be by far his best season, as he had an amazing season, and it was his MVP season. He'd make the first-team All-Pro, and he'd lead the Panthers to a 15-1 record, and he was a Pro Bowler, obviously, and he'd put up stats of more than 3,000 yards passing, so on 60% passing, and he'd throw for more than 35 passing touchdowns, and would run for more than 600 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. However, in the Super Bowl, as we know, he would play very bad in that game, as the defense would suffocate their Carolina's offense, and they would lose 24-10. After that, well, we had an absolutely infamous walkout during an interview after the game, and his 2016-17 season would be horrendous, especially compared to this 15-16 year. Now, while we can't exactly expect him to repeat that type of year all the time, it was definitely a pretty bad year, as he regressed a lot, and the Panthers would only go 6-10. However, he would have a fine 17-18 season in which he would bounce back a little bit, and he'd lead the Panthers to the playoffs. However, unfortunately, they would lose to the New Orleans Saints in the wild card round. the 2018-19 season was actually going pretty good until he would get injured in a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that injury really would affect his time in Carolina, and the Panthers would unfortunately miss the playoffs that year. Coming into the 2019-20 season, there were heavy rumors that Cam Newton could be traded or cut by Carolina, and it was looking like Cam Newton would Carolina would move on from Cam Newton, and the Cam Newton era in Carolina was coming to an end, as the injury was a huge issue for him in his seasons after his MVP season. He was failing to lead them to any major playoff success, and things just were not looking good for Cam Newton. And in the first 2 weeks of the season, he would suffer yet another injury, and because of that would effectively end his 2019-20 campaign. And in the offseason, there were heavy rumors of him being traded or being cut. The Panthers couldn't find a trade, and eventually he would be cut, and he would have a pretty bad send-off in Carolina. For a while, he was a free agent, and there were heavy rumors on where he could go: Pittsburgh, the Chargers, the Patriots, and of course, as we know, in the summer of 2020, he would sign with the New England Patriots, and a lot of people were seriously doubting him. For one thing, injuries were a huge concern. People were also wondering if the guy was just a diva and didn't really fit the Patriot way, and how good of a thrower he really was, and how good of a quarterback he really was. And eventually, he would be named the starter, and he was looking kind of good. And in his first game, he would prove that. And through the first 3 games, he's easily proved that, as he's thrown for 714 yards, 2 passing touchdowns on 68% passing, and he's ran for 149 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Overall, this guy has done a great job of controlling this offense. The offense looks way better than it did last year. Now, I do by no means hate Tom Brady. And look, man, yeah, it does kind of suck that he left New England, but yeah, anyways, let's just move on. The offense has just looked better this year. There's no doubt about it. It does help that the receiving core has performed very well, as N'Keal Harry has received for 145 yards on a 68% catch percentage, and Julian Edelman has continued to be very solid, as he's received 259 yards on a 62.5 catch percentage. Really, the offense has been very good, and the improved receiving core, the receiving core just being better, really does help that. Not only that, but New England has gone a little bit more to a run-first offense, as Cam Newton does run the ball very frequently, as he does. His 4 rushing touchdowns, as I'm recording this video, does lead the league in that category. Plus, in that Las Vegas game, it was clear that they were going a little bit more to a run-first offense, and they're doing that. I think it's a pretty fine thing. While Cam Newton is by no means a bad passer, there's no doubt that running is easily his biggest strength, and that he isn't the passer Brady is. So they're doing a good job of taking the pressure off of him, so he doesn't necessarily have to be, how do I put it? He doesn't have to have as much pressure on, really. And the guy has done a terrific job running. New England sits at 2-1, and while they do have a very tough game against Kansas City, they could very well be undefeated right now. In that Seattle game, it definitely did seem kind of over. However, he would rally the Patriots back, and they nearly won the game if they did call a better play on the goal line. They were 1 yard away from being undefeated. But hey, regardless, they're 2-1, and New England has been looking very good. This team could be a really good team in the playoffs, and if the offense can be just top 10 or just be really good, be afraid of this team, because they have a very good defense, one of the best defensive units in the league, if not the best. Plus, if their offense is top 10, who knows? This team could go 10-6 or 11-5 and make a real playoff run. The point is, Cam Newton has done a great job of controlling this offense as he's great in read options, handing the ball off. He's good at, obviously, I think any good quarterback would be great at handing the ball off, and the guy has done great when he's needed to, and when it comes to passing the ball, and he's just been a good quarterback overall. And with all of that being said, you guys, that's going to be the end of today's video. If you guys like today's video, make sure you click the like button, as it really helps out the channel, and don't worry, it doesn't take that long. Also, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as a good percentage of you guys watching this video Well, you guys are not subscribed. And if you guys like the type of content I make and you're an NFL or an NBA fan, well, then subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss out on any of my content. Plus, I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers, and it would mean a lot to me if we could reach 100 subscribers. And with all that being said, make sure you comment down below your video ideas if you have any, and if you want me to do any, as I will probably do them if you do comment them down below. So let me know. And also, with all of that being said, well, I'm out, you guys.